Hey, Leatherneck baseball fans, another episode of Davis in the Dugout, episode 8 on the year. Will Thomas, Director of Broadcasting Services, alongside me, as always, head coach of our baseball team, Terry Davis. Coach, we talked about last week on how the Bradley game could lead to some momentum. The first time you beat Bradley, it led into some momentum to a Friday night win. You beat Bradley last week, and it rolls into now you guys have won 3 out of your last 4 after a successful weekend.
Yeah, it was really good. We got off to a good start over there in Peoria against Bradley, and it was, the midweek games. I love playing the midweek games as the hitting coach, and it always, I think, can kind of propel you into the weekend, specifically if you play well. We did a really good job against Bradley, obviously getting out of there with the win, but after coming off a weekend against Lindenwood where the offense was struggling a little bit, it was good to get out there on a Wednesday and get a good feel going into the weekend again.
Yeah, so let's talk about that Bradley win because there's some historic stuff that happened with that win. Small sample size, obviously just 2 games this year, but it's the first time you've swept a season series against an in-state rival as in Bradley since 1991. How big is that for the program?
I think it's huge. Just as we continue to build here, again, it's still early on in our time here, and I think those things are really special. Anytime something hasn't been done in 35 years, I think that's a big deal and an obvious step in the right direction. And to be able to do that against an in-state rival and a member institution of the Missouri Valley, I think it's important, and it's something that we can talk about. It's something that we should be happy about. It's something that we can recruit to. And so it's exciting, not only for the university, but the department and our players and their families and everything. It's a huge deal.
And so then you guys obviously transitioned into a big OVC. You had the top of the OVC and SIUE coming in. You take 2 out of 3 of them. First time you guys have won 2 or more games against SIUE in a season since 2019. How big is that weekend? Just walk us through that weekend. Obviously the loss on Friday, but rebounding Saturday, Sunday, great pitching all around.
Yeah, I think I'll start with the offense. We'll go back to Friday or go back to the Lindenwood. We had a rough weekend offensively against Lindenwood, and Lindenwood does a really nice job on the mound. They've got really nice starting pitching, and then we come into Bradley. We get it going a little bit, and then we face Edwardsville Sky on Friday night. And we just we came out of that Friday night of there's 4 OVC games in a row of just didn't feel like it was competitive as it should have been offensively. And again, we're facing good pitching. I understand that, but it just didn't feel right, and it didn't look right. And we had a meeting on Saturday morning, heading into Saturday's game and obviously Sunday, and it just the offense came out of that meeting. I was really proud of how we responded to that offensively, just in terms of competitiveness.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to pop the ball up. You're going to strike out. You're going to do all those things. That's baseball. But what does it look like? What does it feel like? And how competitive is it? And that's how we were able to win the weekend. Obviously, we've got some really good performances on the mound. Our pitching was outstanding all weekend. Our pitching has been good for the last 3 or 4 weeks. But we had to make an adjustment offensively if we were going to get to the finish line, not only this weekend but the remainder of the season. And the hitters really dug in and fought, and I told them that after the game. I was proud of everyone. Played good defense on the weekend. Like I said, we pitched great. I think we made 1 or 2 errors on the weekend, and the hitters really fought and got us to the finish line on Sunday.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of areas we can start when it breaks down to the series. But let's start with the hitting aspect. And I want to start with McClintock because I was watching, obviously, the game yesterday, and he hits a line drive to left field, gets in there, routine single. He sees the little lollipop throw back in. He takes an extra 90 feet. He comes around to score what at that moment seemed like a big run for you guys. How big has his been play defensively at shortstop, filling that big hole there, and then offensively at the 9 hole, really flipping over, getting to Joe Conley at the top of the lineup?
That's right. Josh he just continues to get better. You see it just week after week and day after day. He just continues to get a little bit better. Obviously, he started off a little rough, but Josh is a really good player, and I like being around him. I like coaching him. I like that he's on our team. The thing I really like about Josh, and I think the reason why you've continued to see him grow throughout the course of the season, is that he's just going to play 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There's no fear. I'm just going to play as hard as I can possibly play and as fast as I can play, and we'll see what happens. And he is playing outstanding defense right now. I know the 10-1, 7-1, the scores of the last couple games against it, but he made some outstanding defensive plays to keep those scores the way that they were and to give us a chance to win the game. And obviously you're starting to see him come around offensively as well. He runs the bases 1,000 miles an hour. That play yesterday, the hustle double, is a good indication of that, and helped us score a big run there late in the game. And I'm really proud of him. And it's starting to – baseball can be hard.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to see him starting to have some individual success because he's earned it. He plays hard. He plays fast. And it's just it's good to see it showing up on the field.
Yeah. When you look at the top of your lineup, and you got Joe Conley, who had another phenomenal weekend, it feels like he does. I've never seen a batter get into the box and find himself down 0-2 and then be like, oh, I'm still in the driver's seat. But how nice is it to have someone who draws a lot of walks, gets on base, finds a way to steal, sometimes get into the scoring position, definitely because you got Liam Bushy batting second to kind of jumpstart the offense. Well,
that's the whole key. Joe is, obviously Bushy's having a good season offensively, and he's one of the better hitters in the league. And we wanted to make sure that that every time that he comes up there, or as many times as possible, that we've got somebody on base in front of him, so he's got a chance to drive somebody in. And if he hits the ball out of the ballpark, we score 2 or 3 runs instead of 1. And Joe is our best guy currently at that. And Joe's 429 on base percentage on the year. That's Bush 470 for Joe Conley. His on base percentage. So he's half the time he's going to be out there on base in front of Bush. And it puts Joe in a little bit of a tough situation in terms of running and stealing bases.
Yeah.
Because Joe is really good at that. But we've probably held him back a little bit. We don't want to run into an out with Bushy at the plate.
Yep.
But anyway, Joe has done an outstanding job of creating chaos at the top end of the lineup, whether it's, getting on base, dropping a drag, stealing a base, scoring on a Bushy double. And he can steal second base, he can steal third base, all of it. He's having a really good season, and he is a really good story. There's a lot of negative things surrounding the transfer portal and everything that goes with that, and there is a negative side to it. There's not always greener grass somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because the coach over there at that school, he's going to want you to work hard and do things right as well.
Yeah.
But Joe's a really good story he was a really highly touted recruit out of high school and went to the University of Iowa and just was a freshman and wasn't going to play. Ended up transferring over to St. Louis a season ago and just was behind a really good player out in center field and just wasn't an overall good situation. And then he ends up coming here and he gets an opportunity to get on the field.
Yep. He's
flourishing. He's having a great season. He's loving life. He's a great teammate, and it's a really good story. And he is another one that I'm happy to see having success, and he's doing a really good job for us.
Now let's talk about the pitching because once again, a phenomenal pitching weekend. You only had to use 6 pitchers. We tallied it up before we got on the air here. 6 pitchers the whole weekend. You get your 3 starters, and you really went just 3 different bullpen arms. How does it feel like you got a settled group of a pitching staff that's locked in, ready to go every single weekend?
Well, it's good. It's definitely a really good feeling. And like I said before, the pitching has been good the last 2-3 weeks here, and they're giving us a chance to win every game. And anytime your starters can go out there and go 6 innings, just kind of book it every single time, you're going to have an opportunity to win the game and probably going to win more games than you lose. So those, I think the success that we had this weekend and the momentum that creates moving into not only a couple midweeks here, but the following or the remainder of the OVC schedule. If we can get starting pitching like that, there's enough in the bullpen that we can get on a run here and win some games.
Yeah, so you kind of highlighted a big week, I think. A lot of games for you. You're probably just hooting and hollering. 2 midweeks. You got 5 games this week. What do we look like? You got Iowa tomorrow. You got St. Louis on Wednesday. And then really the next 3 weeks of OVC play, you got everybody kind of right around you in the standings. So it's a lot of position and moving up and down. What do we look forward to this week?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm really excited. We've got 5 games coming up here this week. Coach Merrigan would probably tell you otherwise. He's probably like, how in the world are we going to put this together? But anyway, it's good. We get to go play Iowa tomorrow. We had a good midweek against them a year ago. But that's a good opportunity. I'm sure it's exciting for the fans and everybody involved, and we get to go up there and play against them. They're obviously a good program. And then we've got St. Louis here for the second time on Wednesday, and then we'll get to Tennessee Tech. What's the goal for us this week? Just stay committed to the middle of the field on offense, continue to talk and communicate and play well on defense, and throw strike one on the mound. Be competitive, be tough. When the bullpen door opens, come into that thing with some toughness, and that's all we're trying to accomplish. It doesn't matter if it's Iowa or Tech or St. Louis or whoever. Keep the ball in the middle of the field and compete.
How do you keep your guys' eyes? Obviously, I've talked to you a bunch about it. I know you're one game at a time. Game 45 is no different than game one. But how do you keep your guys' eyes, in that mindset to realize, like, yes, you look at the Tennessee Tech, and they're below you in the standings. 3 wins this weekend could be huge where you go. You got Lindenwood coming up. You got UT Martin. I mean, everybody's, coming up. How do you keep the guys focused just one game at a time?
Well, I think, as you get to the end of the season, I think it becomes natural to the importance of the game that's right in front of you. It's heightened a little bit,
Yeah.
and I think everybody knows that. But, the coaches know it, the players know it, the fans know it. Everybody understands and knows that as you get closer to the end of the thing, you do have to put more of an emphasis on the outcome of the game, so to speak. But whether it's game 1 or game 55 for us, there's never a game where we're just showing up and we're okay with losing the game. Mm-hmm. We're trying to win every single game that we play. And if you worry about what happened 2 weeks ago, or you're worried about what could happen 2 weeks from now, then you don't have enough focus in the moment. And so that's all we're trying to do as coaches and players in our preparation for the game tomorrow, and then for St. Louis, and then we'll get into Tech. It's just how can we prepare ourselves to go out there and score a run in the first inning? How can we prepare ourselves to go out there and put up a 0 in the first inning, and then do that in the second, do that in the third, and do that when that game's over? Then we'll move on to the next one. That's the only thing that we can do. We spend no time in the past and no time in the future. We spend all of our time right now.
Well, you can spend a lot of time with the Leathernecks this week. 5 opportunities to see them. A lot of travel required if you're going to go in person. But Tuesday, it's going to be at BTN Plus at Iowa. You can head out to Iowa City, about a 2-hour drive from Macomb. Or you can come Wednesday, Alfred D. Boyer Stadium, the lone home game for the Leathernecks here. That will be streamed on ESPN Plus. And then it's a road trip to Cookeville. Last time, the Leathernecks will take on Tennessee Tech as a member of the OVC in the regular season. So trying to send the Golden Eagles out with a bang. So, for another episode of Davis in the Dugout, I'm Will Thomas, alongside me, head coach Terry Davis. We'll see you next week, Leatherneck fans. Go Necks.
Go Necks.